Hello, my name is Shaggy, the opinionated hippie. Thank you for tuning in. Today I am going to talk about Jeff Simmons and his, not really his debut album, but officially his kind of debut album, Lucille Has Messed My Mind Up, which was released back in 1969, or it was recorded in 69. I don't think it was released until early 70. It was on Frank Straight Records label. Frank produced it. He co-wrote three of the songs, played guitar on two of them. Ian Underwood is in the band. And the reason why I wanted to review it now is because, or at least talk about it, or at least bring it up, or at least encourage people to like check it out and listen to it, is because elsewhere on this channel, I am ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album released after he passed in December of '93. I've already done all the ones prior to his passing. And I'm currently listening to Mother's 1970, the box set, and Road Tapes Venue 3, because that is where I'm at on the list. And Jeff Simmons is the bass player in that band. And so I realized that I had not listened to this album in many, many years. So I went back and listened to it and realized and remembered that it is a really, really good album. And I don't necessarily recommend it for people who like Frank, but I definitely recommend it for people who like psych music, particularly the sort of psych that was, you know, popular in 69 and 70 when this was recorded, but bands like Spirit, the 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus, Family That Plays Together, those kind of albums. He kind of sounds like Blood, Sweat, and Tears at times, and there's a little bit of a dramatic flair to it, but with like the psych edge, little nice organ work. There's a little bit of a Three Dog Night vibe in there, and that it's for the most part guitar heavy and kind of, you know, psych with guitar, but then there's kind of diversions into like a kind of ballady, more traditional songs, but still with the psych feel. Kind of sounds like Family at times. It's a really good, well-written psych album. And it came out prior to Jeff being in the band. And so I see why Frank would have produced it, you know, play guitar on it, and why if Jeff said, yeah, I'll be bass player in your band, Frank would have said, sure. Definitely, because I see what your songwriting skills are. I see how talented you are as a musician. Jeff sings, he plays bass. I think he plays a couple of other instruments on here, piano, organ. Also, he plays some guitar. You know, so he's a talented musician. And his songwriting topics are kind of Frank friendly. One of the songs on here is I'm in the music business, and it's just a bunch of griping about being in the music business. He complains about like maybe he's gonna have to make a skin flick, just give me $40. I mean, it's very much feels like Frank would take that sort of those lyrics and that attitude and kind of use them in the sort of 200 Motels groupie routine type thing. But it's a really good album. And the reason why I think Frank quit, before I discuss why Jeff Simmons quit, because he was in the band from like May 1970 touring wise, you know, rehearsals before that, to the end of 70. And then he quit at the end of 70 because he was tired of playing the comedy music. The band had just become a comedy band. And listening to this album and realizing that Jeff had legitimate songwriting skills and like produced a really good album, a really good psych music album, Frank could have done some really incredible things with Jeff there, who has musical ideas, Ian Underwood, who could do anything, George Duke, who's got that jazz funk side, Ainsley Dunbar, who was just a ridiculous drummer, then Flo and Eddie bring in their singing chops. And so for Jeff at the end of like, you know, 8 months being like, this is what we're doing, groupie stuff and comedy acts and the Paladin routine and the Sanzini brothers, I understand why he quit. But anyways, this is what's on the album. A couple of the songs segue together, so it feels like a Frank, you know, type thing. Like Frank, obviously, as a producer, was like, this is a good idea. Let's segue these songs together. There's also a lot of tempo changes in the songs, a lot of, you know, like shifting gears, and you're kind of going along in one thing, and all of a sudden you're in like double time or you're slow down. It feels like that, you know, eclectic Frank nature, but it feels very natural and feels very much like a part of Simmons' writing. So it's a short album, about 34 minutes long, 5 songs on each side. The first side is Appian Way, which might possibly be an anti-war song or a war protest song. I know the Appian Way, the one Rome built, was used to pretty much carry military weapons back and forth, and there's a reference to war in here, and the stick people, I think is what he calls them, and it feels like it might be an anti-war song, not sure. That goes right into Zondo Zondo. Both of these have just a lot of really good guitar playing by his guitar player, Craig Tarwater, who's just kind of riffing the entire time. Then you get a song called Madame Du Barry, which is sort of the Three Dog Night, Blood, Sweat, and Tears vibe in song. I'm a little more like theatrical, but still with a lot of psych flourishes. Then you get the I'm in the music business, which is just a groove while he complains. And then this first side ends with Lucille has messed my mind up, which pretty much sounds like the same Lucille, but there's this like dun 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 dun, this repeating piano sort of motif that goes through it that gives it more of like a cruising with Ruben and the Jets vibe, even a little early freak out vibe. But it's still obviously Lucille. And then the second side opens up with Ray, another song that Frank co-wrote along with Lucille and Wonderful Wino. This is just kind of a slow blues song. Frank solos in this. Frank also plays some guitar on Lucille. You get Wonderful Wino minus the bringing in the sheaves that Frank would use when he would play it. A song called Tigres. I think Simmons pronounced it Tigres, though it's spelled Tigres. This is an organ-heavy psych song. It's kind of high energy, but it's really organ-dominated, and so it has almost a Procol Harum feel. Then you get Aqueous Humor, which is really the only sort of soft, floaty ballad on the entire thing. It's about Simmons wanting to be a fish again. Not to be a fish, but to be a fish again. Kind of a silly song. And then the most complicated, most diverse, most changing gears, like every like 30 seconds is the album closer, Conversations with the Recluse, which is a really, really good song and has a lot of just little mini grooves throughout the entire thing and some really funky rhythmic parts. It's really good. But it's a really good album. If you're really into that sort of late 60s, early 70s psych music, I highly, highly recommend this. I was really excited to see that it is on Spotify. I did not check Amazon Prime to see if it's streaming there, but it is on Spotify if you want to check it out. But yeah, that's it for now. Check it out, and that's it, man. Thanks. Peace.